Today I want to talk about a cool little, I guess, insight that's helpful to have in mind when when on the path, because most people, we have this idea that we're on this journey to enlightenment, and we have enlightenment is just going to happen to us. And it's this thing that we get, and then after we get this thing, we become forever at peace, forever wise, forever, all this sort of magic happens. And so we hold on to this idea and we're sort of always anticipating it. But it's an illusion, because you'll find that this enlightenment doesn't exist in the way you think it does. Enlightenment is awakening, or whatever you want to call it, it's the end of actually seeking for something more than just this present moment. Because we've done this all our lives, since forever how long, maybe it started with, maybe it was started with money, maybe you realized, if I just had enough money, I'd be happy. Or if I just had a girlfriend, or if I, became very cool and popular, or if I got lots of Instagram followers, and and then maybe we got a bit subtle. Maybe if I was just more present and mindful in every day, I'd be a lot happier. If I meditated, if I would be able to meditate an hour a day instead of half an hour a day, I'd be happier. If I got really healthy and fit, I'd be happy. If I went to enough therapy, then I would finally be happy. And we sort of get a bit subtle. Oh, if I did all this sort of work, and if I build a business, like all these ideas we have, and we have this idea in our head that we get this thing and then we become happy. But the interesting thing is, it's not. And then usually sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. But either way, we get what we want, and we feel satisfied, maybe for a little bit. But afterwards, we still come back to the same feeling of dissatisfaction. And so we start seeking more, and then eventually we get to the final. Oh, okay, enlightenment. This is the one. This is the thing I need. This is what I've been missing. Screw all the money and all this sort of stuff. Enlightenment. That's the one. But the kicker with that one is that one. It's the same. It's the same trap. We've objectified something that isn't objectifiable. Because what's going on here is actually, the problem isn't not finding in finding something. The problem is in the actual energy of seeking something other than the moment. So the kicker at the end is that it's seen that what you've been chasing the whole life, this state of peace or money or whatever, what you've been chasing, and the fulfillment you project onto that, is actually, it's just been in front of you the whole time. It hasn't been anywhere other than here, and the only thing that's stopped you from experiencing that is wanting more than seeking something other than this. And it's not something we can just sort of switch off instantly, because the mind doesn't want to take that as an answer. The mind doesn't want to believe that. The mind hears that and goes, well, no, it's not the case. This moment isn't enough. I'm suffering right now. But it's like, you're probably suffering because you're saying this moment isn't enough. And that's, sort of the kicker. Is like, you do all this thing, you sort of do all this stuff, and you just come back to almost where you started. And you're just like, oh, there isn't this grand idea I had in my head existing. It's just this, which almost sounds a little sad, but it's the complete opposite. It's hard to explain. because it doesn't matter that even this moment may appear dull to someone on the outside, like, oh, they're just sitting there. But because there's nothing there that's wanting this moment to be any more special than it is, or anything, there's no resistance to it, and that, is a lot of peace, in that, in seeing that this moment can just be as it is. It doesn't have to be all sunshine and rainbows. It's just this moment and whatever's appearing. And and getting to that point where the seeking for, let's call it the seeking for this moment to be more than it is, drops away. You almost have to just be aware. Just first is be aware of the fact that what you're looking for is already here. Peace and fulfillment is here and now. It's your looking that's the problem. Being aware of that, can start to give you glimpses. But you may also have to exhaust yourself through continually trying to find this thing you think called enlightenment that's out there, and continually trying to find it to the point where your mind just gives up because it's so tired of looking for this thing. It's not the funnest way to do it, but if you push yourself hard enough, eventually the mind throws the towel in. But I'm sure there's nicer ways to do it. Obviously through bringing yourself to the moment and not letting the mind interrupt. Second, you can bring yourself to the moment, and you may bring yourself to the moment for a couple seconds, and you might find peace for a few seconds, but the mind always comes in quick, and it goes, something pops up, like maybe you've got a sore back, and it goes, this moment isn't perfect because my back's sore. And then there's resistance. It's like, trigger the mind, maybe this back sore is perfectly okay, as long as there's no resistance to it, right? You're not resistant to your sore back, it's just a sore back. When there's no one there to be resistance to it, the ego is almost just resistance to the present moment. It's this thing that says, I don't like what's happening. And when there's no resistance, there's just flow. There's just life happening, and everything is just naturally reacting, because there's nothing judging or mechanism judging and wanting things to be certain ways. You just move, and you're very in your body. The ego is in your head. When there's no ego, you're fully in your body, and you just sort of know. You just sort of move intuitively, not much thoughts. There's just presence. And then and when with that, there doesn't feel like there's a you. It just feels like it is not. It's hard to put into words. But the main issue is thinking this moment isn't what it isn't it, because this is all there is, and this is all there ever has been. Just this moment, constantly in your face. Everything, everywhere you look, is everything you could ever want. Just constantly. And the mind will disagree. It's going to want to argue and give heaps of reasons and stuff. Give heaps of arguments. Or, no, this can't, blah, blah, blah. But that's just the nature of the mind. Unless we pay attention to it, unless we not listen to the mind, and we just come into our bodies and just accept the moment, or keep trying to see through it, telling yourself this is it, and not let the mind interrupt. That's when seeking will start to fall away. And we abide presently. Not to say that that's the end of the path. I think the spiritual path unfolds in I don't know how long. Like it just keeps unfolding. It appears to get deeper, but has less subtler senses of self because there's so many layers to the ego, so many subtler versions. But once we get rid of the main seeking energy, the big, sort of the big, you call it the biggest sense of self, the path can be quite nice and sort of a bit more of a smooth journey where you don't really care if it goes deeper anymore. You don't care if it goes any deeper. You're open to it. You're still curious. You still, when negative emotions arise, you still go, oh, this is obviously a sign of a little bit of residue of a separate self, and you may inquire into that and go a bit deeper. But yeah, ultimately, when that big seeking energy is over, and you can just be in the moment, present. Well, there's no you being. There's just the present moment and what's happening. Yeah, that's when you start to find true contentment and peace. But we have to also, on top of that, be willing to feel everything in the moment. We can't use spirituality, turn it into a philosophy to hide from our issues and problems. Because when we're in the body, we're going to feel everything, every emotion, every sensation, every uncomfortable situation. We're not going to be able to retreat into our heads, but that comes with it. But as we start to accept this moment and the resistance drops away, negative emotions may arise, but they come and pass through. We don't hold on to anymore because there's not resistance that's trying to force them away and go into the head. Negative emotion arises, it's felt, it's experienced fully, and then it's released. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.